Once upon a time, deep in the forest, there was a small turtle named Taro. Unlike other animals, Taro didn't have a bold personality or quick speed, but he had something no one could take from him: patience. While the other animals rushed through their daily tasks, Taro took his time, enjoying the peaceful moments of life. Taro's shell was strong and sturdy, and he had always felt safe within it. His home was his shield, and he knew that no matter what storm or trouble came his way, he could always retreat inside his shell for protection. But while Taro was calm and steady, he noticed something else. The animals around him were often in a rush, chasing after goals without thinking about the journey. They seemed to be living their lives like a race. One day, the sky darkened. Dark clouds gathered, and the wind began to howl through the trees. A great storm was coming, and all the animals in the forest scrambled for shelter. Birds flew to the tallest trees, squirrels hid in hollowed logs, and even the deer raced to find cover in the thickest part of the forest. Taro, however, did not panic. He slowly made his way to the deepest part of the forest, where a small cave lay beneath a large ancient oak tree. It was sheltered from the winds, and Taro had always felt that it would be a perfect place to wait out any storm. As the storm grew stronger, the animals who had been rushing to find shelter began to panic. The birds' nests were torn apart by the wind, the squirrels' hiding places were flooded, and the deer found themselves lost in the maze of trees, unable to find any safety. Hours passed, and the storm raged on. Inside his cave, Taro remained calm. He had found peace in the shelter he had chosen, knowing that his decision to take his time and plan ahead had kept him safe. But when the storm finally cleared, Taro ventured out and saw the damage left behind. The once lush forest was now filled with broken branches, fallen trees, and scattered debris. The other animals, looking tired and scared, emerged from their hiding places. The birds looked down at their destroyed nests, the squirrels had lost their food supplies, and the deer had wandered aimlessly through the storm. They were all in shock from the chaos the storm had caused. Taro, however, simply walked calmly through the forest, unharmed, and began to help where he could. He approached the birds, who were struggling to rebuild their nests, and offered them the sturdy branches he had collected in his travels. He found the squirrels and helped them gather acorns from the trees that had survived the storm. And he guided the deer back to their familiar paths. As the days passed, Taro's wisdom began to shine through. The other animals noticed how calmly he had faced the storm, how his slow and steady approach had led him to the safest place, while they had rushed in panic and been left unprepared. Slowly, the animals began to understand the value of patience, planning, and thinking ahead. They realized that while speed and rush could be helpful at times, the best results often came from being thoughtful, calm, and steady. One by one, they began to change their ways. The birds built sturdier nests, the squirrels gathered food in advance, and the deer learned to take their time in choosing their paths. They came to Taro, grateful for his help, and asked him to share his wisdom. Taro smiled and said, "A storm will come in everyone's life. Sometimes it will be a small rain, and other times, it will be a great storm. But no matter the size, if you are patient, if you take your time, and if you plan ahead, you will always find a way through. From that day on, the forest was filled with animals who worked with patience and purpose, always preparing for the future but never rushing through life. And as for Taro, he remained the calmest and wisest creature in the forest, teaching the next generation the importance of staying steady through life's storms.